Hey, what's up, guys? Kevin here from KevsPicks.com, and I'm back with my NFL Week 12 picks for DraftKings and FanDuel. For the video, I'll be talking about DraftKings, but I do like these guys at FanDuel as well. Some of these plays are a little more obvious plays that might be higher-owned plays that you already had on your radar. I'll try to email out some more sneaky or sleeper picks on Sunday morning, so if you're not signed up for my email list, make sure you sign up. It's free, and the link is in the description below. Just click on that DFS emails link. And as you can see here, I've got Fantasy Labs pulled up. That's what I'm using for this video. That's how I do my research each week. And I highly recommend you sign up for an account at Fantasy Labs. I've also got my link for Fantasy Labs in the description below. Check them out if you haven't already. And let's get right into the Week 12 picks. All right, so starting off at quarterback, I want to mention that I do like Tom Brady as well, but I had him in last week's video, so I'm going to change it up here. I'm going to go with Jared Goff against the Saints. He's at home. The Rams are 2-point favorites currently with a very high over-under set at 54 points. And the Saints are going to be without their top two cornerbacks, which is big. Jared Goff has looked good this year, and the Saints defense has looked good as well. But without their top two cornerbacks, I think Goff could potentially have a big game. You can see here he does have the upside. 31 DraftKings points, 29 DraftKings points, 23 back in September. And he's throwing the ball actually quite a bit. If you look at his attempts here, up to 47, 36, 37, 37. So it seems like the Rams do like to throw quite a bit. And against a Saints defense that is without their two key pieces at cornerback, I think he could have a big game. I think it sets up for a good spot, and he's quite a bit cheaper than someone like Brady, who's up near the top. So I think if you need to save a little bit of money for cash, you could go with Goff. That's maybe where I'll go. I might go a little cheaper, kind of depends. But for GPPs, definitely, I like Jared Goff this week at 6,700 in a good spot against the Rams. And I'll talk about who I'm going to stack them with the most when we get to wide receivers. Up at running back, I kind of went back and forth here on who I wanted to put in this video. But because I won't be doing too many lineups this week, with the Millie Maker being a $75 entry, I'm going to enter a fewer number of lineups. So I wanted to give the running back in this video who I'm going to have the most exposure to, and that's going to be Tevin Coleman at 6,500 with Freeman out for the Falcons. You can see here the projected ownership is crazy high, but that's not going to take me off Coleman. I think he's in a great spot to have a big game at home. Coming off a subpar performance in his last time out. You can see here the Falcons are 10-point favorites, over under at 49 points. So they're expected to score quite a few points, and with him being the main running back in the backfield for Atlanta, I expect him to have a big game. If you look at his game log here, he did have 20 carries his last time out without Freeman in the lineup, and he only put up 12.8 DraftKings points, which is really low for that number of carries and some targets as well. So I expect him to have a better game. He only had 2.2 yards per attempt last week. That was against a tough Seattle defense on the road. Now he's facing the Buccaneers at home. I think he's going to have a much better game. 6,500, too cheap for him. So I'll be playing him quite a bit in both GPPs and in my cash lineup. And then at wide receiver for my stack, I'm going to be going with Cooper Kupp stacked with Jared Goff quite a bit at just 5,000. I also like Sammy Watkins from the Rams with Goff. I'll be doing lineups with both of those guys, but my preference here is Cooper Kupp at 5,000. Sammy Watkins is 4,900. I think both are good plays this week against the Saints with a banged up secondary. But I think I'm going to lean Kupp here for cash games for sure. I think Sammy Watkins might be a better GPP play. He might be maybe it's slightly lower owned just because Kupp has been getting a ton of targets. You can see here 7, 8, 10, 7, 7. A lot of targets with Robert Woods in, and now that Robert Woods is injured, I wouldn't be surprised if Kupp's targets went up a little bit, maybe got closer to the double-digit mark like he did against Arizona, where he put up 15 DraftKings points. So he's a red zone threat as well for the Rams. He gets a lot of targets in the red zone. So I like him quite a bit, cash and GPP, to stack with Jared Goff. And then my second receiver here, I wanted to go with a lower-owned guy, so I picked Emmanuel Sanders, who I'll throw in some GPP lineups. He's 5,200. Denver is in Oakland. They are 4.5-point underdogs, but they actually have a quarterback that can actually throw the ball. In my opinion, I don't think Brock Osweiler can do much back there. But they got Paxton Lynch in there this week against the Raiders, and the Raiders have struggled against the pass quite a bit this year. So I wouldn't be surprised if Paxton Lynch had a pretty good game and Emmanuel Sanders maybe had a good game as well. So we want to watch his injury. I believe he's dealing with a foot injury, but it's not too serious apparently. So he's expected to play. 5,200 is cheap for Sanders in a good matchup. We all know the upside he brings. You can see here 30 DraftKings points, 24 DraftKings points, 22 DraftKings points, a lot of duds in between there. But he does have the ability to put up those huge games when he gets the targets. You can see here 15 targets in one game back in September, 11 targets against the Patriots, 8 targets his last game out. So he does have the upside to put up a monster game, and he's in a good matchup. 5,200 is a great price for him. So I don't love the play for maybe more for a cash game. I don't think I love it just with the rookie quarterback in there. But for GPPs at 5,200, I like it. And then at tight end here, I wanted a cheaper tight end for the video. So I'm going all the way down to 2,800 for George Kittle, returning from an injury for the 49ers. They're at home against Seattle. Not the best spot here as 6.5 point underdogs. Total at 45. The implied team total here for the 49ers is 19.3. But at that price, just 2,800, you're not going to need too much from him. Maybe 12 DraftKings points. You'd probably be happy with anything over 12. And he does have the ability to put up a decent score. You can see here 21.3. He had a monster game against the Colts. Since then, he hasn't done too much, but he's gotten the targets 9, 8, 2, 4, 5. And he's an athletic tight end that can do stuff with when he gets the ball. So I think he could have a big game here. And this is kind of dumpster diving, finding someone really cheap at tight end so you can pay up elsewhere. But if you do need to find a cheap tight end, this is kind of where I'm looking. George Kittle, 2,800. So I'll be playing him in GPP lineups. And then lastly, for defense here, I try to find a value defense, but there's no value defense that I really love. I've been messing around building some lineups, and I kind of like the Bears if I want to go really cheap. I don't mind the Falcons at 2,900. But my favorite defense of the week is going to be the Bengals, 3,900. I'm going right back to picking on Cleveland like I have been for most of the year. They are expensive. They're the second most expensive on the Sunday slate at 3,900. But I got to do it. I got to pay up for them in some spots just because I think they're in a good situation at home against Cleveland. Deshawn Kaiser has been turning the ball over a ton, and this Bengals defense has looked good lately. If we look at their last couple games here, they've got 3 interceptions over their last 4 games. If we go back all the way to September, you can see here 6 interceptions over their last 8 games, and then a fair number of sacks as well, 6, 6, 4, 4, 3. So they haven't put up many very high scoring DraftKings point games. You can see here 14, 14, 8 their last time out. But they've forced some turnovers. They've gotten some sacks, and going against Cleveland, I would expect them to continue to do so and maybe turn one of those into a touchdown for a nice DraftKings score. So I'm not going to pay up all the time for a defense, but when I can fit them in, I'll be paying the 3,900 for the Bengals this week. So that wraps up my NFL Week 12 picks. Again, I will be emailing out more picks on Sunday morning. Make sure you're signed up for those. Just click on the DFS email link in the YouTube description. If you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, hit that like button. It'll help support my channel. And good luck this week, guys. Talk to you later.